Americans are being idiots abroad, and we need to talk about it. Hello, you gorgeous donuts. As we all know, Americans sometimes, when they come to Europe, can get a little confused. Often the home comforts that they're accustomed to from America might be a little different in a different country, and that takes them by surprise. And you could say it severely overwhelms them. Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at the worst Americans that have suffered this. Let's get into it.
I never believed the whole, oh, Americans in Europe are so bad. Yesterday, I sat down at a burger restaurant and asked for American cheese. Everybody laughed. That's not a thing here. It's okay, though, Carter. It's just one time. It couldn't get worse.
Wait. Is that not just cheese? Wait, like, I wouldn't go to America and be like, yeah, just some straight British cheese, thank you very much. Wait, I know Subway call it American cheese, but obviously Subway's like an American chain. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm the idiot. I'm having a realization here. I am the absolute freak here. I just thought American cheese was just normal cheese slices. It's not. So is that basically like burger cheese? So I was kind of half right. It's just that weird cheese that comes in a packaging that me mum used to put in me sandwiches for school that people would take the out of us for. What? You drink water? Oh, that's so quick. What, you drink bottled water? Oh my god, what? Can I have your autograph? You're so cool. What? A bottle of water, the thing you always take the out of us for pronouncing. You drink that on our shows now? Couldn't make this shit up. I don't actually get the joke here, or if it's not a joke, is it just that they drink water? Like they've all bought a bottle of water. Doesn't everyone do that? Like, I'm pretty sure everyone has to drink water otherwise, or at least a form of water. Otherwise they can't survive, right? Like, you know, that's just the natural cycle of life. I love this though, like, you know, like in their own world, they're like, oh god, everyone's probably thinking we're so American right now with our bottled water. I am a European, so could somebody tell me what they are holding? Yeah, I don't know. I think this is some sort of device they used in Star Wars in combat. A lightsaber. That's it. That's it.
Coming from Spain, where that's all Spanish, I tried to pay a taxi driver in pesos. Sir, I was in Mexico with pesos.
The language doesn't dictate what the money is.
What? So he was in Spain and he tried to pay for it with pesos, but obviously that's the currency of Mexico. He thought just because they speak Spanish in Mexico that, you know, this guy would take it, as if one time he just is gonna go to Mexico because he speaks Spanish. Honestly, that is actually like the wildest form of logic that this guy used. Obviously he's joking about it now, but at the time I imagine he was deadly serious. That's like me going to Barbados where the primary language is English and me thinking I could just spend with pounds there instead of like Bajan dollars, I think it's called. Gonna seem so clever there, as if I haven't just got that up on Google what the currency is. Ignore that, right? That was just off the top of my head. I was just checking that Google was right. Just trying to keep Google on its toes, guys. That's kind of what I like to do in my spare time. Sometimes I'll just Google stuff to see if I can like catch Google out, you know, if it's on like its dinner break or something and it gets something wrong. I'm like, ha ha ha! Got you eventually. Okay, so this clip is from Wireless Festival, which I believe is held in London in the UK, obviously.
Calm down! Security! Security!
This is so prime UK culture. Like everyone was kind of just trying to, you know, barge past each other, and then they hear one American say security, and without even hesitation, everyone just creases. They're like, love, you do know this is like London? Like security just isn't really a thing here. It's kind of like the Purge. We all just kind of defend ourselves and hope for the best. Like, you ready? It's the laugh right after she speaks. Listen to it.
Security!
This is actually kind of sad because this woman seems like she's in peril, and even though she is American, she's right kind of London. Like, no even hesitation or barge.
Security!
Got you eventually. Okay, so this clip is from Wireless Festival, which I believe is held in London in the UK, obviously.
Calm down! Security! Security!
This is so prime UK culture. Like everyone was kind of just trying to, you know, barge past each other, and then they hear one American say security, and without even hesitation, everyone just creases. They're like, love, You do know this is like London. Like security just isn't really a thing here. It's kind of like the Purge. We all just kind of defend ourselves and hope for the best. Security. It's the laugh right after she speaks. Listen to it.
Security!
This is actually kind of sad because this woman seems like she's in peril, and even though she is American, she's a human being. You know, her needs need to be met, safety-wise, and they're just laughing at her face, unfortunately. I also love that she was the one that was shouting security, but everyone was pointing at her to get her out, just for being American, I imagine. To any Americans watching, I hope you do know, I do actually like you. I do. Just funny to laugh at you, isn't it?
I'm a real motherfucker. I kill people. I rape children. I kill. I'm real. I'll kill you too.
Okay, that is definitely the wildest thing that has ever touched my eardrums. And I imagine you probably, yeah, not even probably, I imagine you already have blurred that so the audience can't figure out what he said there. I will just let you know that it was the worst of the worst. Also, stuff that is just, you know, like, there's just no need. You're on your hollybobs, mate. There's no need to go. I mean, anytime, you know, there's no need to go around doing that to people. Both of those things at the same time, you're just, you know, double bad. But you know, when you're on your holiday as well, like if you cannot be happy on your holiday, what's the point? I cannot believe that. That's just awful. Why would you openly say that to the camera as well? Like, you're not even trying to hide it. Like, it says on your top, the Da Vinci Code. Yet this is the easiest thing to work out anyway. This man needs to be locked up. This is genuinely like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's not even a competition at this point. This is the worst thing that I've ever seen.
You're going down, you coward bitch. I don't drink. You know why I drink? To you off. I don't drink to be happy. I drink to destroy you.
I mean, this guy just has all of the infinity stones for races. Not even just that, just for every single slur in the book. He's just like rallying them off, just bang, 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 bang. He's like he's got a full Yu-Gi-Oh deck of them. Also, I don't think that you're ending any race anytime soon, my friend. Like, if one person was going to end an entire race, I don't think you're the man to do it. I just don't think you've got the credentials for that, big man. Just turn around with your backpack and trottle off, thank you very much. American tourists try to ride an alligator. Should not. Oh my, he's actually putting like what you put on a camel. What? Why would you put a towel on it? Surely that's not going to have any impact on the comfort. He's not even sitting on the towel. What are you doing? Oh! Eat him! Eat him! Yes! You can't kick him. You can't kick the alligator after you've just tried to sit on him. He wasn't trained to do that. The audacity. Like, the alligator turns around and, like, goes, oh, mate, will you f off? And then you kick him. You're literally in his space. Also, why would you, you know, like, why would you need to ride an alligator? Like, where are you gonna go? Like, I don't understand what the kind of goal was here. Was it just to sit on one and then get up? Or did you actually want to go somewhere? You know, like, I don't understand what the end goal is here, which is confusing me more than everything. Also, like, the towel as well. Like, did he try to blind the alligator? Is this kind of like Dumbledore's bird in Chamber of Secrets, like trying to, you know, blind the battlist so then you can like ride? I have no idea. I just want to know what the vision was here, mate. See, this is one thing that, like, I always get recommended these TikToks on my For You page. And it's a lot of the time it's like Americans saying, like, why are Europeans so miserable? And I don't know if it genuinely is just a little bit of a cultural difference. Like, let me know if you're American, if in America, is it just the standard that people just talk, like, kind of top of the voice, like with an outdoor voice? Because in Europe, like, we kind of talk at a quieter level. Like, you kind of just talk loud enough so the person on your table can hear and not anybody else. Yeah, with Americans it seems like, oh, you just talk as loud as you want and everyone else talks as loud as they want, and then all of the decibels kind of just work themselves out in the atmosphere. American tourists drive through pedestrian area.
What if the other table's interested in what we're
staring.
talking about?
Oh, it's okay. Oh,
No,
this is-
they're not. They're all staring.
You should drive through that tunnel right there.
What? Drive through the tunnel? Go back the way you came.
Yeah, go back the way you came, please.
Take a left.
Yeah, careful, careful.
Yeah, I see, I see.
Weird to have a flower pot in the middle of the road.
Well, I can't get through there. Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, I could.
Dad?
Joe, no, just go the way you came. No, please.
This is
You are
Oh,
not
you
going
like
through
it?
a tunnel.
Like, How did you get to here? Surely the map didn't take you this way. You're on Waze, so I know it wouldn't have took you this way. To be fair, actually, Waze does take you down like the weirdest route sometimes, but I feel like it always sticks to the road. This is clearly like a shopping centre. Like, surely you turn around as soon as you know that you're in the shopping centre, or at least like you have a slight suspicion that you're going where cars can't go. Like, normally there will be a sign saying, oh, you can't drive past this point. So I don't understand how you actually have got to this point. It's the fact they're filming everyone and going, why are they staring? It's like, well, obviously because you're driving where you can't drive and you're also driving past like this. Obviously they're going to stare.
And stumble across an American tourist lost.
I've seen this one. She's so exhausted.
Wait, how do you know they're American? They're not drinking a bottle of water. I don't know if we can be sure with this one. I feel like they're an imposter. I'm gonna need a few more answers before I sum this one up.
What the fuck?
He's crazy.
Water a long time ago.
Yeah. 28 degrees goes on hike with no water.
Yeah, it's roast. It's hot day. You're here, sure. You've been walking in the water. Yeah, it's straight up this little hill. It's tiny. What? Nah, it's not.
I've got two questions before we see the rest of this. Firstly, is she walking her dog in like 28 degrees heat? Because already that's evil. And with
Did
no
it bring
water,
water?
that is even more evil. Like, you need a little bit of a water stash for the dog if you're not going to bring some for yourself. On to my second point. Where is the water for yourself? 28 degrees on a mountain and there's hardly any cloud. You've got some confidence, love. Genuine. Like, after 15 minutes, I'm zonked out. I'm like, I don't think I can go any further. Can we just, like, turn back? Like, every single time me and Chloe go to the lakes, I'm like, after, like, 10 minutes. I'm like, what? How do people enjoy this? You, like, walk a little bit, you're like, well, my cough's just hurt, and now I just want to cry and just have a burger with American cheese. Thank you very much, before anyone asks.
How are you getting on? You're almost here now.
Where is she? Oh, there she is.
Way back there.
Only a bit more.
I love the fact that, you know, he's not letting
I
out
didn't know
on
the
the
clip was
horse
that
with them.
long.
He's
I
like,
only
no,
saw
you can
part of
walk, love.
that.
You can
You're managing, yeah? You're going to get up to the Hellfire Club,
New
and then you're going to
breaking point.
stay straight the whole.
Also, like, did this woman forget to, you know, plant her beds so that, you know, like, her last checkpoint didn't respawn, so she just had to start from the, you know, like, the middle of nowhere where the game's just put her? Because why is she wearing jeans? Like, jean shorts. Jorts, if you will. For some reason, I thought that I just made that up, and then I realised, actually, I've seen that category on ASOS, and now I'm kind of sad. I thought I just, like, unlocked, like, a superpower there. Like, this is just not the attack. Like, has this woman ever been on a hike before? This person is definitely a hike virgin.
Wait.
To the Hellfire Club still?
Yeah, you should have
No,
to.
no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
You sure you have to go that way to go home?
I don't know which way to go.
I'm telling you. Sure, you're grand.
Oh, what people said, and I still got lost.
But sure, I'm going to show you what way to go now. You'll be fine. You'll be grand.
I should be a mentor coach.
Not good, I'm not good.
One thing I will say is I feel like the guy who's filming her is a bit of a knob. Yeah, it's funny you've found like an American in the middle of the mountains of Ireland. I guess that, you know, that doesn't happen every day, I imagine. But she's clearly in a lot of distress. She doesn't know where she is. She's in a foreign country. She needs water. You know, she's probably starving a little bit. You know, she really thirsty a little bit. Like, she's clearly stressed out here. And, you know, I don't know why she can't use her phone to message whoever she needs to message. She might not have it on her. And he's just himself. Like, he's just laughing. There's not much empathy going on here. So although she has been, you know, a little bit of an idiot abroad, I do kind of feel sorry for her, because I don't even know how do you just like spawn in the middle of an Irish mountain? Like, how did she get here? That's what I want to know. Tourist having an outrage at a clinic in Bali. Okay, this is only gonna end one way.
Let's go. Yeah, cut. Give me it now. Now. I see what you're. Give me the.
Yes, okay.
Recording. Cut.
Well, that's not helping anything. What was the point in that? Just trying to show how big your muscles are. Now we've got to fix that. Like, that didn't help us get to the end goal here. You've just put a spanner in the works here. If anything, I don't even know what that is. I didn't even know what that was before. Now it's smashed on the floor and we've got to fix it up somehow. What did he say? I think he's saying you've picked the wrong f***ing American. What do you mean? What were you picked to be here? Or do you mean like picked to fight with you? Like, I need to know what the context is here. Why is this American in a clinic in Bali going absolute ape shit?
Being American in Europe is humbling because I'm at the
I love how Americans say Europe. Being an American in Europe?
Prada Foundation in Milan, and these are the restrooms, but I go in,
That looks like somewhere Eleven would have to go in Stranger Things to like contact the dead. These are some fancy ass bathrooms. What?
These are the restrooms, but I go in, where's the toilet? It's just a mirror. There's a sink in every single stall. There's sinks out here. I have to pee.
Wait. Firstly, I feel like they're urinals, love. There doesn't seem to be any taps on there. That is where men, for some reason, that's a thing where men, like, you know, pick next to each other and rub shoulders and kind of like, well, I don't, but, you know, some men do. And you're like, what the f are you looking at? Just quickly, that is a weird thing that we have it in Europe. Europe and the UK. Like, urinals. Why do we do that? Like, why can't we just have toilets like what they did with the women's bathroom? Why do we have to do this in the men's bathroom? I hate it. I'm a nervous that and it
urinal
doesn't help.
stalls.
Anyway, back to the story. She's saying, where's the toilet?
the
But I
fucking
stopped
trough.
it on a freeze frame here, where I believe this is exactly where the toilet would be. I don't know because, you know, she hasn't opened the door. So this could just be like, you know, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and this could go to a different dimension. But I feel like there's a good chance that the toilet could be located in here. Yes, it's a little bit of a weird system. I will give you that. I probably would be confused for about 5 seconds walking into here. But this is clearly a door to a toilet, in my opinion. Karen tells Chinese bus driver in China to go back to China. Even saying that if they were in America, still bad. But being in China and telling someone to go back to China, like, you're the immigrant here, you know? You're the person that has emigrated to this country or just on holiday here. So you've got no... Not that you would in your own country, because it's a horrible thing to say anyway, but especially in someone else's country, you've got no jurisdiction here. How about you leave and go back to where you're from, love? Culture shocks of an American in Europe. The pizza and asking for tap water. Sorry, like that. I apologise on, you know, I mean, Europeans, like, they can make better pizza than this. This isn't the finest showing of a European pizza. I mean, pizza did originate in Europe, right? Italy, greatest place on earth to have pizza, apparently. This is not a good representation. And also, asking for tap water. You can get still water in a restaurant if you want. You know, I mean, tap water is free. But if you did want still water, it is available. The service is a bit slow. The amount of tourists... Surely you're a tourist. Is service slow in Europe and in the UK? I mean, I guess I've never, like, experienced American service, but I feel like it's pretty good. I feel like it's pretty good. Is it not? I guess I'm not like anybody that has been to America for a prolonged period of time, and also Europe, and also just, I guess, the UK as well. Is there a big difference between service times? That's interesting. I've never even, obviously, I've just never thought about that. But I feel like the service in the UK is good if you go to a good place. Like, you know, it's always, people are dead attentive, and people, you know, are always dead nice, especially if it's like a, you know, a cool restaurant or, you know, a bistro or whatever. I've never had an issue, ever.
Oh. Oh.
What?
Like,
that interaction's
right?
wild.
Oh.
Lovers, plural. Come to Newcastle.
What was that interaction?
Come to Northern England. Just come to England, apart from some places are a little bit dodgy, okay? You'll get a good experience here. Not everyone's really rude. I feel like this is unfair. I know they're saying Europe, so I imagine they're talking about, you know, I don't know, off the top of your head, like maybe Germany or Spain or France or something. But every single time I go on holiday to Europe, the people are always dead nice. I know that's in, like, tourist destinations, but I imagine they've probably went to tourist destinations unless it's like a city break. But also cities are, like, full of tourists. Like, are they rude? Maybe they are, some countries. Let me know what the rudest country you've been. Is so I know to avoid it. I don't want to label any country as rude because I know like a few nationalities of people watch it, so I don't want to like call anyone out, you know.
No.
Sorry, they're not American. There's not a bottle of water there. Fakers. Absolute
No
fakers.
shot.
Also,
That's
can you
nasty.
drink that water? I don't think you can drink that water. I think that's a mural. It's like, that's a fountain, but not like a water fountain like in American movies that you can kind of click it and like drink from. I feel like that's an actual monument that you're not meant to really touch. That's another interesting question. Why do people say Europe instead of the country? Like, that is one interesting thing with Americans. I wonder if it is with, like, you know, other huge countries like Australia. I wonder if they kind of group every single European country as like one because, you know, they're obviously much smaller smaller nations than their own. And obviously, like in America, there's like various states. I know a state isn't the same as a country, but you know, some states are the size of countries is basically what I'm trying to say. I wonder if it's because they kind of group it all in America, but it's still like every single nation should like be, you know, treated as its own entity. Going to Germany is totally different to going to the Netherlands or then going to Spain. And Spain and Portugal are totally different, and they're joined together.
Europe is a big country, so there's lots to be said about it.
Right after I said that. Literally couldn't have timed it better. Oh yeah, just forget everything I just said.
They get things a lot later than the US. Don't quote me on this, but I think they got electricity like 10 years ago. No one in Europe speaks English. London would be the only country where you could go and, I guess, speak.
This gotta be rage bait. Surely this is a masterclass in rage bait. Not even
It
a
has
masterclass,
to
but I
be.
figured it out. Surely there's too many wrong things. London, a country. We got electricity 10 years ago. It was actually fine. So get your facts right.
I hear they don't have spices besides salt there, so I'm definitely bringing some spices when I go. Along those lines, I hear all they eat is fish, so I guess Europe and Japan are pretty similar. But I mean, you all know this. We all went to school. But I think in Europe, everyone is homeschooled on the fjords. So maybe I should start teaching them some stuff about like the rest of the world.
See, this is, to me, this is just like somebody that like lives off Twitter information. Is like a real life embodiment of that. Like when you go on Twitter and there's just so much misinformation about every single little thing. This is like somebody that only has Twitter as an app and this is their views. FYI, when you're American and refer to Europe instead of a specific country, it really pisses them off. Why is this really my For You page? Like the For You page is really saying For You today. I don't think it people off after I've just went on a mini rant about it. I feel like it's just wrong. It's probably because you actually thought they all were a country at one point and then you figured out they weren't and now you're kind of using it as if like, oh yeah, I knew this all along. When in reality you probably didn't. How it feels coming home to 5G, air conditioning, ice and drive-thrus after spending 6 weeks in Europe. Where did this guy go? I think we have all of those things, right? I'm pretty sure Europe has all of these things, right? 5G. Europe definitely has 5G. Air conditioning. I'm pretty sure a lot of hotels in Europe have air conditioning, especially considering loads of them are like summer destinations. Ice, they definitely
Like
have
southern
ice, I
Spain.
think. I mean, I've got ice in the UK. Okay, I can go and prove it if you want. I
Prove
don't
it.
need to, but I can if you want. That's what
Prove
I'm just
it.
saying. And drive-through.
There's a reason you didn't prove it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, UK and Europe, they have drive-through. I'm almost certain they have drive-throughs. Maybe it's not as many as America, because America has a lot more fast food than what especially Europe does. Like Europe, you know, especially like next to the sea, a lot of the food's a lot more fresher and like not as drivable. I don't know where this guy stayed. This is what I'm confused, because it seems like he's like stayed in a hut. Maybe he went like camping. Maybe, but surely you would have seen a drive-through, like on the way to the campsite.
Listen, you can get mad if you want, but I've been in Europe for 3 weeks. Yes, I say Europe because I've been in multiple countries, and I'm not going to sit here and rattle off every single one I've been to. Anyway, I had to do it. I had to do it. I'm so ashamed of myself. But it's hot outside, and I desperately needed an iced coffee, an actual iced coffee. And so I came to Starbucks. Because I knew that they were going to have actual iced coffee, not chilled coffee. Not an affogato. Good old iced coffee.
Why is she so angry? Also, like, am I just an idiot here? Like, I'm like second guessing myself now, because so many people in this video are saying that Europe doesn't have ice. But I'm convinced it does. Now I'm considering, wait, is my
I think in
life alive?
France
Does
and
Europe
Germany
not
it's
no, it
way
does.
less.
Why am I second guessing myself? Of course it has ice. It has water. It has access to a freezer. Why would it not have ice? I need to know what this meme is. I feel like I'm on the outside. It's like there's a friendship group where everyone has inside jokes, and then there's me on the outside, like. Oh yeah, yeah. No, that was class in school. That was. I met them last week. Do they just see a lot of countries as tap water as kind of like gross and like they wouldn't drink it? I know in some countries the tap water isn't actually that great in Europe, so like I understand in certain countries, but. It seems like they're just doing this everywhere that's not America. Americans at European festivals.
I don't want to be a bitch, but you guys are really boring.
I don't know what festival this is, but she looks like she's the only one that's dressed kind of colourful. Also, as long as people are dressed in something that's comfortable for them, does it really matter? Like, it's not, this isn't, I don't think this is Coachella. You know, if it's in Europe, I don't think people dress like they do in America, where basically they go into like loads of debt to be able to have a certain outfit for Coachella, because it's kind of like a statement thing. In the UK, I feel like people just wear whatever they want to wear at a festival that makes them kind of comfy, right? Like, it's not really kind of a fashion show for a lot of them. Some people go in like their worst clothes if it's like a muddy one. Guys, are we in trouble? I mean, you know, Europe and the UK, can we not make good iced coffee? Because I like iced coffee. Now I'm thinking, am I just kind of drinking dishwater? Like, have I been trained to like this because it's the best of a bad bunch? I need to know what American iced coffee tastes like now. I'm having an existential crisis in this video because I'm like laughing at these people going, oh, we have it. But then I'm like, wait, do we? Do we have it? Or are we kind of like, are we the idiots? Oh, no. Oh, no. Anyway, if you do want to watch me react to Americans being confused by the UK, click this video right here, because some of the clips in here definitely make sure that we are not the idiots.
Tom Kirkham, baby! What you want to do is save hundreds when Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
That's great, but can you ask your friend to stop digging into the green?
I can ask, but he's not going to. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
What if I said you could lose 8 pounds without eating food like this? Factor is my favorite hack for losing weight sustainably with restaurant quality food. These chef-made meals take the guesswork out of eating clean. Everything's pre-portioned and dietitian approved, so I'm not counting calories. I'm not even cooking. Factor gets delivered to my door each week, then I just heat and eat in 2 minutes. No prep, no kitchen cleanup. I'm doing keto-friendly meals, delicious protein options, and absolutely zero extreme diets. Stop counting calories and start looking forward to how you'll feel with Factor. Want to lose 8 pounds in 8 weeks? Start with 50% off your first box.
This is the most brutal episode of Catfish ever.
That's a wild claim to be making. I have made a ring for her. Because there's no way it's... She's here?
Why does he sound like fucking
Hello,
Tony
you
Hit?
gorgeous daughters. Catfish is one of America's most successful but also controversial TV shows. Horse Neve in
Holy smokes, you guys, the US government just ordered the Pentagon to start using lethal force against the drug cartels. This is a gigantic change because up until now, the US military has only been authorized to creep on the cartel using surveillance flights and drones.
President Trump has quietly signed a directive green-lighting US military force outside of the United States. The target? Powerful cartels.
This is not a drill, you guys. This information is coming straight from the New York Times and their sources inside the White House. And the plan has already been in motion for the past couple of weeks. But I think this is actually just one part of a series of sweeping steps that have been happening simultaneously across the Western Hemisphere, including a massive federal operation right here on US soil that we're going to get into. What we're witnessing is the most direct, lethal action ever taken against the cartels by the American military, which will have huge consequences for multiple different countries, including Venezuela, as we'll soon see. Today, we're going to examine how many US troops are being deployed and where they're going. They've already been ordered there, what this change means on both the tactical and diplomatic level, and why this military action might not look like the kind of conventional strike that we would suspect. Today's sponsor is World of Tanks. I play it when I get done with work every day because I only have a little bit of time each night to play games, and it lets me jump straight into the action online. Within seconds, I'm blowing up enemy tanks. World of Tanks is a free-to-play PC game that has over 800 main battle tanks in its arsenal that range from light to heavy, even self-propelled artillery. The game leaves it up to 18 million of to jump in. The British in 7 days on the battlefield. The US military just ordered 4,000 Marines and sailors to the waters around the Caribbean islands in Latin America, so like around here-ish. And they are rolling deep, you guys. They have the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit is going there on board an Iwo Jima amphibious landing ship, which is basically a mini aircraft carrier with fighter jets, attack helicopters, landing craft that can bring armored vehicles on shore. U.S. officials confirmed a nuclear attack submarine, several Navy destroyers, and a guided missile cruiser are also all going on this mission that's designed to ramp up efforts to combat drug cartels. I'm honestly not even sure what a Mark 48 torpedo from an attack submarine would do to a cartel go-fast boat, but we may soon find out on Funker 530.
News Nation pressing President Trump on reports that he secretly signed a directive ordering the Pentagon to use military force against drug cartels labeled as foreign terrorist organizations.
Up until now, the Navy has had to work through the Coast Guard to legally take any lethal action or make any arrests. Officials say the Department of Defense is now drawing up multiple options for kinetic action against the cartel. What will that look like? According to the Washington Post, quote, discussions have ranged from using Navy destroyers to launch missiles at cartel leaders or infrastructure to partnering more closely with Mexican authorities to target the criminal organizations, end quote. That is, of course, in reference to building barracks and safe houses in Mexico with their authorization to allow American special operators to work out of. That would give them the capability to run killer capture missions against targets involved in the drug trade.
In May, the United States and Mexican forces raided three major drug labs in Sinaloa, seizing fentanyl and chemical precursors, a rare strike on the cartel's own turf.
When you hear a military officer use the word kinetic action, it's not some kind of 9th grade scientific physics experiment. It's just a Pentagon-approved euphemism for killing people. The Washington Post goes on to say, a U.S. official familiar with the issue said military strikes would be audacious and potentially unlikely to get approval from the president. What that means is they're signaling there are limits to what they're currently willing to do with the rules of engagement. Over the past few months, 2 U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke destroyers were quietly deployed to the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, the Gulf of America. I can't win here. I'm cringe either way I go. The point is, this is historically a really unusual move to deploy destroyers to the Gulf. It was done in anticipation of strikes being ordered against the cartel, because that would put those destroyers within striking distance of cartel drug labs and distribution infrastructure with up to 96 Tomahawk land attack missiles. We're still working on developing a missile variant that attacks the demand for drugs, though. This new order now gives the justification for direct military assaults both at sea and on foreign soil against cartels. However, according to the publicly available diplomatic messages from both Mexico's president and the U.S. ambassador to Mexico, who's Ronald Johnson, they both claim this will not be a conventional military operation. Ambassador Johnson said on X in a statement, quote, "This is not about the United States acting alone. It's about building a joint, unshakable front with Mexico to defend our citizens, dismantle the cartel's networks, and ensure that the only people who need to fear for their future are those who profit from murder, addiction, and chaos," end quote. It sounds like something a CIA spook would want me to think. Oh.
As a therapist myself, I know how important it is to be able to have someone that you can talk to about your problems, to bounce ideas off of, process your traumas and your stressors, especially when life is getting out of hand. And although everyone should have a therapist like that they can talk to, sometimes it's difficult to find the right person who's the right fit for you and your needs. Thankfully, BetterHelp has an online quiz and tool that streamlines the entire process for you to better help you find a therapist that's going to meet your needs by asking you what your preferences are, what your experiences are, what kind of therapy style you're looking for, and that way it can match you up with the best therapist specifically for you. And thanks to BetterHelp's online platform, actually communicating with your therapist, whether it be via messaging, phone call, video.
Wait, Ronald Johnson actually did work for the CIA in his past, and his background in the intelligence community in the United States has been taken as an indicator of the U.S. intention to use covert military action and paramilitary groups against the cartel. Mexico's President Sheinbaum made some diplomatic statements in response, saying, quote, "The United States is not sending its military to Mexico. We cooperate, we collaborate, but there will be no invasion. We're ruling this out absolutely." In April 2025, the White House asked President Sheinbaum, Mexico, if she would be cool with the U.S. sending troops across the border to give a helping hand in combat and pull triggers against the cartel, and she said, "Thanks, but no thanks." The diplomatic messaging are careful, though. I think it's worded in a way to say that there won't be conventional operations, which leaves some ambiguity over whether they would object to covert actions. This is the kind of phrasing that officials often use historically when they're hinting at intelligence operations. But I think it's easy to miss some of the actual targets of these sweeping changes. Okay, so often when we think about these drug cartels, we think about the United States and Mexico naturally. But the interesting thing, I think, is that these new orders are actually targeting a different country that we rarely think or talk about when it comes to the cartel, and that is Venezuela.
Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles, Trinidad, and MS-13.
Because two things just happened. First, recently on July 25th, 2025, the U.S. government designated the Venezuelan cocaine cartel De Los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization. And you might think, what's the big deal? This year in 2025, the U.S. designated at least 8 different cartels as terrorists, already starting in February. But there is actually a major distinction here. The Venezuelan De Los Soles cartel is alleged to be a direct arm of the Venezuelan government, made up of a network of Venezuelan military officers and political elite. It started in the 1990s with traffickers in Colombia bribing Venezuela border guards, which escalated from there into being accused of being a narco-terrorist state-run enterprise.
And a $50 million bounty on Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, accused of running a cartel from his presidential palace.
Unlike with Mexico, the U.S. official stance is that the cartel is directly led by Venezuelan leader Maduro himself, and that his whole government is a narco-terrorist state. This has been the position of the United States for many years. De Los Soles is accused of having protection thanks to their ties to senior Venezuelan government officials. Their name allegedly has a direct reference to this. It means Cartel of the Suns, sun being a reference that comes from the insignia of the Venezuelan military general epaulets. So in some ways, the accusation here is that it's kind of like Wagner or Blackwater. It's like a secret arm of the Venezuelan government, but except instead of being a PMC, it's a private cartel organization. Unlike Mexico, which is diplomatically seen as an ally and a partner, Venezuela is very different. They're seen as an adversarial nation. McDermott, co-founder of Inside Crime, said, quote, "The difference in Venezuela compared to Mexico and Colombia is that within Venezuela, a good percentage of the business is managed within the state," end quote. Evidence for this comes from defector testimony from multiple sources and evidence of the Venezuelan military flights that have been caught smuggling narcotics abroad to places like Spain and America. What all of this means taken together is that the risk calculus for the United States is different with Venezuela. They don't get the white glove treatment that's gone there. Operations there wouldn't be seen as a breach of an alliance with America's #1 trading partner like Mexico. Actions against Venezuela is seen as actions against the hostile state. This deployment location is revealing because it's in close proximity to Venezuela. This is where a lot of illicit substances travel through from Venezuela on its way to Mexico in the Caribbean island chain to the United States. Now, I'm not much of a fishing expert myself. I find fishing is something that takes a lot of patience and requires a kind of inner peace that I may never achieve. But what this mission sounds like to me is a fishing expedition to see if the cartel will take the bait and touch America's boats. By reading the official FTO announcement itself, we can see exactly where the US government's head is at here. In it, they state, "The De Los Soles cartel, which has provided material support to Aragua, Tren, and Sinaloa cartel. Based in Venezuela, the Soles cartel is led by Nicolas Maduro, who has corrupted Venezuela's government institutions, including parts of the army, intelligence services, the legislature, and the judiciary, in order to facilitate the cartel's activities in the drug trafficking to the United States," end quote. Translation: the U.S. government is not fans. Secondly, the White House announced a $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest or conviction of Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, for violating U.S. narcotics law.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro issues a warning to the United States that an attack against him could be, quote, "the beginning of the end of the American empire."
On face value, this sounds kind of nuts. It reads like the U.S. is offering a Wild West-style wanted dead or alive poster for the sitting president of another country. For context, that's twice what was offered compared to the reward to capture Osama bin Laden. You guys, I've got a tip. He's in Venezuela. Can I get the reward money now? But on the real, why would they offer a reward like that? This is widely believed to be a kind of psyop. That kind of money could lead to a coup or instability in his inner circle. It's like putting a price tag on regime change. In order to collect that reward, though, it would have to be someone with direct access, his senior military officers, for instance. The U.S. has done this before, putting money on Saddam Hussein, Latin American leaders like Noriega in the 1980s. There was a $1 million bounty placed on his head in that indictment was used as part of the justification for military intervention in Operation Just Cause in 1989 with the invasion of Panama. However, I think it's unlikely that this would involve overt U.S. troops deployed to Venezuela for a number of reasons. One being Venezuela is far larger than Panama. They have a population of 30 million people versus Panama's 2.5 million. So what is more likely? It's a plausible, deniable way to call for a government to be overthrown, to create the conditions for a coup without actually cooing. It's a psyop. It plants the idea that loyalty to the leader can be monetized by betraying him. It's to increase paranoia in that inner circle. It's not out of the realm of possibility. The U.S. government paid a total of $30 million for the capture of Uday and Qusay Hussein in 2003. Supposedly a cousin dropped a dime on them. If someone put a bounty out on me, I'd be looking around thinking, which one of my friends is going to sell me out for $50 million? That's why I don't have any friends, so no one can even threaten to betray me.
Just one more screenshot, and this SOP is finally done.
Why are the US and Venezuela at such odds? Since 2020, Maduro is accused of ending democracy, fully grasping power in Venezuela during that 2024 election. Practically speaking, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, I believe more than even Saudi Arabia. And they maintain state control of it all, which the US says Maduro uses as a political weapon. From a national security point of view, Venezuela hosts Russian military advisors. They have major arms sales programs with Russia, and they've granted port access to Russian warships. They've had bombers there. They have S-400 anti-air weapon operating in the Western Hemisphere here, and China heavily invests in Venezuela's infrastructure. Iran sends oil tankers, military technology, as well as Quds Force operatives, which is like their version of the CIA. Venezuela is seen as a foothold from Washington's perspective, as their main strategic enemies are allowed to go there. So the confrontation with Venezuela turns from this kind of counter-cartel mission in the Western Hemisphere into a potential flashpoint with other major nations. From Venezuela's point of view, the U.S. stance is seen as hostile interference, and that they're messing with their sovereignty. Venezuela's government argues that the U.S. has a long, troubled history of intervention in Latin America, and that this is just an extension of that, and the failed war on drugs is what they claim. Venezuela's public opinion is split between a faction that supports Maduro and a faction that opposes him. But according to what we're hearing from insiders close to the White House, the plan is to totally obliterate the Venezuelan cartel's operations in the Western Hemisphere, which hints at the scope of this mission. However, one of the biggest challenges is that the U.S. military lacks the kind of relationships that the FBI and DEA have developed with Mexican authorities since the 1980s. To try to fix this, the Pentagon recently established something new that's called the Joint Service Interagency Advisory Group. This is a combination of U.S. Special Forces operators that work alongside experts from agencies like the FBI, DEA, that have an on-the-ground presence in Mexico. Wait a second. Isn't this just the plot to that movie Sicario? The reason this was set up is because the FBI has offices all across Mexico and on-the-ground contacts there. Direct action missions in Latin America are not unheard of. And there's a recent history of it being used, and it's often been a cautionary tale. The DEA ran tactical teams in Honduras in Operation Anvil in 2012. This is kind of like a SWAT team, but for the DEA, and they operated outside the United States against drug runners. It was a 90-day joint operation working alongside Honduras police, but there were 3 controversial deadly force incidents that triggered international backlash after innocent people were killed. The operation is a good example of how a poorly planned use of force can have unintended consequences if it's not fully thought out. And this led to the U.S. Department of State reviewing where they found that the poor operational planning and no defined rules of engagement were major reasons for this happening. Ultimately, the DEA tactical teams were ordered to leave the foreign country, and they were soon shut down and disbanded after that. The current campaign is not limited to foreign operations. On the U.S. side of the border, the Department of Defense has expanded National Defense Area to designate nearly 1/3 of the southern border now. These zones give U.S. troops the power to detain people who cross illegally and bypass these traditional restrictions on military involvement in law enforcement. So basically, about 1/3 of the border with Mexico has now been militarized. So there's over 7,000 troops who are patrolling hundreds of miles in Texas, New Mexico, and soon in Arizona. There's more than 50 Stryker armored vehicles now patrolling the desert borderlands. More than 1,400 migrants have already been charged with trespassing on military territory. These actions have choked off the flow of drugs and immigrants into the United States, and this crackdown has strangled the cartel funds that, and major arrests against top leadership of the cartel in Mexico, had led to this massive cartel civil war that's been going on over the past few months. So far, the results appear to be that the two cartels are now joining forces with one another to try to survive in a different form in the future. Parallel to this militarization of the border in the United States and Mexico is something called Operation At Large, and this is something that you've probably seen increasingly in the news, and I assume we will hear more about going forward. It's the largest coordinated immigration enforcement effort since the 1940s. It involves more than 5,000 federal law enforcement personnel drawn from multiple different agencies, 3,000 from ICE agents, including another 1,800 from Homeland Security, then Justice Department employees, U.S. Marshal Services, and Border Protection officers. They all have been put together, and the plan also supposedly includes a request for up to 21,000 National Guard troops to support these ICE operations. This is the largest federal operation in the interior of the country. By looking at the U.S. military leadership who are responsible for drawing up these plans that we just talked about, we can get a pretty good indication of what may happen, I think. The new commander of U.S. forces in Central and South America, Admiral Halsey, who took over in November 2024, he recently made a long statement to Congress outlining where he stands on strategy. The highlights, I think, are when he said, quote, "The United States of America and the many nations and territories that comprise Latin America and the Caribbean are bound together by rich cultural tradition, family bonds, economic endeavor, and enduring commitment to democratic principles." He goes on to say that he believes the greatest threat is actually not the cartel, but Russian and Chinese action in Latin America. Quote, "These authoritarian regimes continue their methodical incursion into the region using varying tools toward separate end states." He says we can stem this tide by standing together shoulder to shoulder with our allies and partners. Our partners want to work with the United States, but to maintain their trust and confidence, they must feel and see our presence and commitment before it's too late, end quote. All of his statements stress the importance of working in partnership and acting with permission of foreign nations. I couldn't find anything in either of their public statements supporting unilateral military action in Latin America. That doesn't mean that it's not possible they would do something like that, but it's always worth looking at who's in charge of the actual day-to-day operations and if that ever changes. And all of the media sources say that the president has signed a secret directive here and that it could have either been a presidential finding for covert action or it could have been a presidential memorandum, which is a way to issue top secret sensitive missions in the military. From here, officers go on to create con plans, and they're not just ways for them to justify them having jobs. Those are then turned into operational plans, which are put into action. All of these stories taken together, I think something becomes clear here. What is emerging is a multi-front campaign. Militarized buffer zones on U.S. soil, mass immigration raids supported by an unprecedented number of federal agents, and in some cases the military, like in Los Angeles. And there are expanded covert intelligence collection over foreign territory, and now directive to conduct overt kinetic strikes. What we're seeing is a campaign in the Western Hemisphere unlike anything we've seen in recent history. It's being run simultaneously at home and abroad, with the military and intelligence community operating at the forefront. And remember, if you're looking for a way to relieve stress each day, why not give World of Tanks a shot? It's free to play on the PC. Just click my link in the description or the pinned comment below to get some cool bonuses with it. If you want more exclusive content, you can go to cappyarmy.com for all the full show notes and sources that are available for this episode. Check out one of these episodes, though, on the cartel if you want to see some more coverage on that. I'm your average infantryman, Chris Cappy, ending transmission.
Got safety protocols? Grainger has the safety pros to call. Shop our vast inventory of safety products at Grainger.com. Call, click, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A satellite hurls around the globe at 7.5 kilometers per second. Then it drops a 6-meter rod that starts falling the 400 kilometers towards Earth. No explosives, just speed.
Things like rods from God, which is dropping big tungsten rods from space, having them fall very quickly.
Mach 24 at first, but the atmosphere eventually slows it down to Mach 8. It's still going super fast till it reaches the surface of the Earth. Another satellite waits in orbit for years, and then when given the command, it releases a capsule.
A re-entry capsule with hundreds of drones, thousands of drones. You can put it anywhere you want within a matter of minutes.
Here's a caravan of a dozen satellites. They've got small missiles inside, and they're just waiting till a military commander on Earth gives them the order to go hit a group of enemy satellites, knocking out the vital communication and navigation capabilities of the enemy. These aren't sci-fi scenarios. These are real projects that militaries are working on, powerful militaries. They've been thinking about these things for years, but we're in a new era of space. It's a lot easier to get up here. And so, as happens, countries want to control it.
Now we're getting to the point where these crazy ideas that people would have said were science fiction are becoming more possible, and we should be looking at all these things on the horizon. Advances in space happen very rapidly.
The new military space race is really between the US, China, and Russia, though less and less Russia. This is really a rivalry between the United States and China. Both countries have a relatively new wing of their military dedicated to controlling, defending, and preparing for combat in space, or in the words of the US Space Force, to fundamentally transform our approach to space from a combat support function to a warfighting domain. And it's getting crowded. Lots and lots of satellites are going up there. There are over 12,000 floating around the Earth right now. Oh, and by the way, I've always had a little trouble with these visuals of like all the dots that are satellites. This is not to scale. These satellites are not like right next to bumping into each other. But the fact remains, there's a lot of high-tech stuff floating around our Earth, and more of that is dedicated to military purposes. It's become a vital tool of modern warfare, and that is what this video is about. It's about these devices, satellites, that not only let planes and troops navigate and communicate, but also scan the world looking for missile launches. They reveal secrets, looking through clouds, and at night to capture underground submarine headquarters, deep-sea cable cutters, North Korean warships. I'm going to show you how militaries are working on technology that they could potentially use to attack the satellites of their enemy with grappling hooks, with lasers, with a nuclear bomb. I've been talking to experts, including one that you'll hear a lot from in this video, as I set out to understand war in space. This escalating race to control and dominate a domain shrouded in mystery, one that is hard to police. And it's all happening right at a time when we're entering into an era of global rivalries. They're heating up again. All while the most powerful people on Earth have a deeper and deeper interest in what happens in this space far above our heads. It's space. It's the final frontier, and it's time we start paying attention.
Space, an infinite ocean, where man is not content unless he's pressing himself to the limits of his knowledge.
It's not too late to outgrow the family hairline. Through Hims, you can break the cycle and get the thicker, fuller hair of your dreams. Genetics started it, but our range of personalized treatments can help you get ahead of it. Stop hair loss and regrow your hair in just 3 to 6 months with clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil. See why 79% of customers say they wish they started treatment through Hims earlier. Take control of your own hair destiny. Start today at hims.com.
Introducing Penn Station's Penn Pairs for $7.99. A tree, oh yeah, of grilled subs paired with fresh cut fries. Your choice of chicken teriyaki, pizza,
or beyond.
Okay, first we gotta talk about satellites. These little computers bolted to a metal frame that are orbiting around our planet.
Some are very small. Some might be referred to as a CubeSat. So a CubeSat is something very small. You can fit it in your hand.
That's Clayton Swope, who's an expert on space policy here at a think tank in DC called CSIS.
It could be the size of a refrigerator in a college dorm room. But then you have others that could be the size of a bus. So solar panels will be a lot bigger than the satellites. So think about it, you're just moving your arms out usually, and that's how the satellite looks with solar panels.
Some of these satellites are way far out in this orbit called geostationary orbit. They're a tenth of the way to the moon. And they're moving at the same speed as Earth. So if you were to look at them in the night sky, they would just kind of look like a star. They stay in one place. But most satellites these days are here in this sweet spot of low Earth orbit, about 400 to 800 kilometers above our heads. And look, there's the International Space Station hurling around the Earth. This one's obviously a lot bigger than a refrigerator. And a reminder of something that may be obvious to some of you, but was kind of fuzzy in my head and now it's not, which is that these satellites are not like zooming around the Earth with jet engines. They are actually kind of falling. When a rocket launches a satellite into space,
okay, this is like
it goes
high school
upwards
physics.
for a few kilometers, but then it
Blows my
starts to go
mind.
sideways. And in fact, most of the energy being blasted out of this rocket is being used to move it, let's say, horizontally, getting close to 30,000 kilometers an hour.
You're trying to outrace gravity.
And once you're moving that fast, you can cut the engines because you're at this magical speed where you keep missing the Earth.
So you're trying to move so fast while gravity's pulling you in that you are effectively staying in an orbit around the Earth. So you're trying to defeat gravity.
So people who are floating in the International Space Station are not floating because they're not in Earth's gravity. They're floating because they've kind of reached this perfect equilibrium of speed and gravity that makes them constantly falling. So before we get to all the war and defense stuff, let's just take a moment and appreciate this magical thing we've invented called putting things into orbit around our Earth. These days, a lot of these satellites are talking to one another, forming a constellation where they can send signals between each other, all to serve a variety of purposes, like helping guide ships and airplanes, or tracking pollution, or running scientific analysis on crops, or internet. Starlink has around 7,000 of these satellites in a big constellation that provides internet access to remote areas that were very disconnected before, and to those fighting in the war in Ukraine. There's one satellite constellation that I use more than any other, and it looks like this. This is a very special constellation.
The biggest thing that we take for granted is the global positioning system, is GPS.
Around 30 satellites that are flying 20,000 kilometers above us, run by the American government. At any given time, anywhere on Earth, 3 of these satellites can see us, and this signal allows them to provide a very accurate location of where we are on the Earth. If you lock onto 4 satellites, you can even get your elevation. I mean, this is magic. Not
His fellow co-host follow the journeys of couples who have formed an online relationship but have never met in person, and they discover if their online relationship is real or are they getting catfished. For people that don't know what a catfish is, it basically refers to someone who creates a fake online identity to deceive others, often with the intention of forming a romantic relationship or scamming them out of money. Now, me myself, I have had a horrific experience with a catfish, which I'm sure we'll get onto later in this episode. One thing I didn't realize is the host of this show, Neve, actually made the term catfish famous in the first place. He made a whole documentary about how he got catfished by somebody else and it blew up, which then gave him the platform to have this really successful TV show where he helps others find the same. I just found that pretty cool because he's turned such a horrific situation into a positive for him, which not many people manage to do. And in this specific episode of Catfish, we're actually going to be covering the most brutal episode they ever aired. Many people have been catfished on this show and it's been brutal. However, the man that we're covering today actually believes that he's in a 6-year relationship with one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. I wish I was joking. We're going to meet this man, find out if his story is legit. We're also going to see if Neve and his co-host can find out if this relationship is real and he actually is in a relationship with this huge pop star, or if he is being catfished. So get comfy, because this could be the internet's most jaw-dropping love story that goes wrong. I am so nervous. So the episode begins with Neve and his co-host Max reading out the initial email from Spencer, who is the one who will be taking part in the process, finding out if he actually is in a relationship with this pop star. He says that he's a typical guy from Nashville. He likes to do normal things, which already, like, is a little bit of a red flag. Like, you're just saying you're a typical guy and like to do normal things. Now I feel like you're not a normal guy who does normal things. It's something a mass murderer would say. Yeah, honestly, I just gotta do normal things like everybody else. Apart from the, you know, the murders, obviously. He then goes on to say that he first messaged Katie 6 years ago, and ever since they've had thousands of messages back and forth, which already gives me a terrible feeling in my stomach because this has been going on for 6 years. That is a hell of a long time to talk to someone if they're not real. I feel like this is gonna make me cringe, this video. Katie has apparently told him on multiple...
Hey, how do I export this PDF? Show me how to find the new hire
Real
bid.
quick, can you show me how to...
If your coworkers are asking you to repeat yourself all the time, you need Scribe. Go to scribehow.com and download Scribe. It'll make you a how-to guide for any process. Click start and do whatever process you need to explain exactly as you normally would. Then when you're done, click stop. Scribe makes you this automatic step-by-step guide complete with screenshots and text that you can edit and share.
Thanks, Dahlia.
Never repeat yourself at work again. Try Scribe.
Occasions that she lives in LA, California, and in the last couple of months she said to Spencer that she wants to go full in on this relationship, which made me think, like, are we not rushing things here, guys? Like, you want to go full in 6 years into the relationship? Let's slow down, right? 6 years? Do you not think you're rushing things, guys? Honestly, like, when me and Chloe met, if she didn't want to make it official within the first, like, 5 years, I'd be a little bit worried. 5 months, if anything. Now, at this point, Spencer says that their relationship was better than ever until something happened.
Katie claims she sent an email explaining what was going on with her. It's been lost in the cyberspace black hole, and she never resent it.
You know, we're only a minute in. It's not looking great, Spencer. Why did she communicate on email rather than the text messaging app you were? Like, why an email? Is that how people are flirting these days? They're like, oh my God, just wait until I hit you with the yours sincerely. Oh, God, that's gonna turn you on. Honestly, if you think that's sexy, just wait until I bring out the kind regards. You're not ready, baby. What? Why are we flirting over email? You could say that would be, some hot mail.
Definitely not an ADC main. Goddamn, at least
Would you give us... No, sorry guys, that's terrible. I need to have a kid so that I can validate these dad jokes.
Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Spencer.
Already, like, how are they really meant to help with the email being lost? Like, I don't really know how you can, you know, like, if the email doesn't get sent, just send it over text what you were gonna say. You know, in reality. However, I can imagine from Spencer's point of view, like, he's emotionally involved in this situation. So obviously he's just going to think, he's going to trust the person that he loves. Neve and Max then decide to actually FaceTime Spencer to just dig deeper into this situation and meet him online for the first time.
Let's just call this guy. Hey!
Oh. Sorry, I wasn't saying that to his face. God, that looked terrible. Just that sound of Skype kind of gives us, like, Vietnam flashbacks to getting groomed online. A little bit of casual trauma dump for you there, guys. Just trying to keep you on your toes. Okay. Now, straight away, when Spencer answers this phone call, this is one of the first things that he says.
Yeah, I think this is going to be your best episode ever.
You do know what this show is, right, Spencer? Like, for this to be Catfish's best ever episode, it would have to be the best ever Catfish. Like, personally, if we're gonna rank them, that's what my ranking system would be with this show. Surely, you'd be like, guys, I think you're wasting your time with me. Honestly, I think this episode's gonna be crap. Now, you also might have been like me when you heard this, thinking, yeah, like, why is he saying this? Like, surely that's a bold assumption to make if you do believe the person you're speaking to is real. Well, wait until he reveals what Katie's surname is. I don't think you're ready for this.
Well, Katie is Katy Perry. So, there you go.
Like Katy Perry? Like Katy Perry, the first woman in space? Katy Perry? Like Katy Perry, you know, she's always hot and you're cold, yes and you know Katy Perry? Like, that Katy Perry? What? I mean, you could say she's hot and cold with Spencer, am I right? Oh, there we go. There's another one. God, this party is just, it's just absolutely wild right now. You could say this is going to blow up like a firework. Come on, I'm on fire. You could say that Spencer's going to make Katie raw. It's just disgusting, isn't it? Oh, God. Should have quitted whilst I was ahead. I've killed it. I've buried it and then just, you know, dug it back. Killed it.
That's the Katie that you were talking about in your email?
That's right.
That's a wild claim to be making.
Now, obviously, at home, you're going to be like, obviously, he's not speaking to Katy Perry, and like, who is this idiot? You're probably thinking. From his perspective, which I imagine we're going to find out later on, if he believes that this person has done various methods to prove they are Katy Perry, like, I don't think that this guy is an idiot for being catfished here, really, because I have been susceptible to being catfished. So many people, arguably getting catfished by, you know, someone pretending to be Katy Perry is a really odd one to fall for. But I'm just saying I've got a little bit of sympathy for this guy. We don't really know what's gone on between these two. Although, like, I do want to ask the question, does this guy then have like a really big ego that he thinks that Katy Perry would be interested in him in the first place? I mean, be your own biggest fan. It's many boys' teenage dream to go out with Katy Perry. Okay, well, there we go. Now, I did actually research when this episode dropped if Katy Perry was dating at the time, because obviously that makes a huge difference in this story, and she actually was. She was going out with Orlando Bloom. Now, again, right, I'm not trying to compare, you know, two lover boys together, but do you really think she would be cheating on Orlando Bloom with you, Spencer? It's Orlando Bloom. It's Will Turner, you know? Pirates of the Caribbean and shit. The guy's called Orlando Bloom, for Christ's sake. How could you cheat on someone like that? Further into this conversation, they do actually mention that Katie is going out with Orlando Bloom, and Spencer says, yeah, he knows all about this. But he is still adamant that Katie wants him.
I think she is dating somebody, yes.
Who?
I think it's the elf from The Lord of the Rings.
Orlando Bloom?
I love that. That's so passive-aggressive. Like, I don't feel like that's the insult he thinks it is. Like, even being in, you know, Lord of the Rings in the first place, huge achievement. He's like, yeah, he's just like some elf from Lord of the Rings. He's saying it as if, like, the guy works at, like, you know, McDonald's or something. Yeah, he just works at McDonald's. He's an elf in the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
I've been talking to her for 6 years. I have millions and millions of details. Little stories, like when she's growing up, that only Katie would know.
What would you say to somebody that hasn't tried therapy before?
Just ask yourself if what you're doing in your life right now is working. If you have peace, if you have good relationships with loved ones, or if you have healthy boundaries, if you're able to put your head on your pillow at night and just fall asleep, if you've got control of your marriage or your parenting, if what you're doing is working.
Okay,
Jesus,
I feel like this is
don't
going to be one of the
ask
most
for that.
uncomfortable watches we've ever done on this channel, because he's not actually joking here. Like, he's deadly serious, and obviously you see in the faces of Neve and Max there, like, they know pretty much straight away that this is a catfish, but they've also got to be respectful to Spencer because he's emotionally involved in this situation.
so
Yes, you
bad.
can laugh at him, but chances are he's going to get his feelings really hurt here, so you actually have to treat the situation with a lot of care. Spencer then goes on to explain more and more about his conversations with Katy Perry. Katy Perry.
I haven't told anybody, obviously.
Okay.
But if they're on this goofy little app, and you could interact with other people on it.
Sorry, if I was like talking to Katy Perry, like when I was single, everyone's known about that. Like even after the first message, if I was the one to slide in and she didn't reply, I'd be like, yeah, I'm talking to Katy Perry. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're taking things to the next level, actually. If you're asking, so.
Messaged her. Hi, are you the singer?
Must be her.
Katie got to the point of really wanting to go all in with me.
Now,
Go on,
there's still a chance that this could be Katy Perry, so I'm just going to, you know, be respectful when I commentate on this. But I doubt if somebody DM'd Katy Perry saying, hey, are you the singer Katy Perry? She'd be like, yes, that's me. Like, I just feel like, hopefully I would feel like she'd be like, okay, well, this clearly seems like a fan interaction. Like, I'm just gonna, you know, kind of just steer away from this one if this is in a dating capacity. Spencer then goes on to say how Katy went from hot to cold with him.
He deleted the Yahoo Messenger. He didn't tell me why. So I would like to, you know, be face to face and see if there's a future here.
As much from the outside, as we can be like, yeah, this is all bullshit. I can understand his logic. He's like, I've been speaking to this person for 6 years. She deleted the app. I just want to know why she deleted the app. Can I meet her now? Because obviously, you know, I love her. I've been speaking to her for 6 years. We meant to take this relationship to the next level. I just want to meet her. Can you help? I can understand the logic from... I'm trying to see this from his point of view. You can see on Neve and Max's face that they're pretty convinced that they know how this is going to end. However, they do look pretty happy because obviously this is like unbelievable content for them. But it does raise the question, like, what are the ethics around using someone like this on a TV show when you know what the answer and the outcome's going to be? Like, they pretty much know the outcome here. So are they getting Spencer on this show to kind of just embarrass him? Or is, like, I know Spencer's an adult himself, he's consenting to be on the show. Does the liability and the responsibility actually lie with Spencer? It's definitely an interesting conversation. I think Spencer can sense that they're not really treating him that seriously, so he like tries to prove even more that he actually knows Katy Perry, and he says that they've actually spoken on the phone once.
Have you spoken to her on the phone?
One time. It was $270 because she had a phone from Canada. She was on tour in Canada at the time.
And she didn't have $200 on her. That's crazy.
Just saying, Bento's kind of, you know, pulling your pants down,
Multi-millionaire,
Max,
couldn't afford
because she was in
$200,
Canada,
so you had to send it to her.
God, you call yourself experts, do you? Give me your job. Honestly. What? So you're saying when you go on holiday, you don't get a phone from the country that you're in? What a tool. Neve and Max then agree to help Spencer to find out if he really is dating Katy Perry. I find it really funny because usually at this stage, they kind of keep it vague whether the answer is going to be catfish or not, but they straight up tell Spencer that he's being catfished, however, he's not having it. But even if he is being catfished and we already know the answer, I am very intrigued who is catfishing him and what is the reasoning behind this, because it's so wild. Like, they haven't really took any money from him, I don't believe. Or they just catfishing him for the love of the game. You know, I have no idea what's going on here. I just at this point feel so sorry for Spencer because clearly, you know, he's not told anyone in his life about this, and this means so
like, that
much to him.
$200
He
bill
can
is
tell
probably
how much he
$5
loves
for
the
the phone
person he's
call.
speaking to, whether that's Katy or not. So this will be consuming his entire life, and this will be like, you know, 6 years is a big part of anybody's life. This will have such an effect on him moving forward when he actually finds the answer to this. How is he ever going to trust anyone online who he's speaking to ever again if this is a catfish? Even Max's first step into helping Spencer is traveling to Nashville to his home to kind of have a conversation with him, learn a little bit more about him, find out if he's just some normal bloke or if he is a bit of a weirdo.
She's funnier than I am, she's smarter than I am, full of life, she's huge heart.
Have you guys said that you love each other?
Many times.
You've said I love you many times. What? Oh. Bloody hell. I wonder if he's done tests, like, you know, when she's doing a live interview or a live show, if he texts her and she like texts back during that when obviously she clearly doesn't have a phone with her. Well, I wonder if he's kind of not wanted to do that because he doesn't want the real answer to it. Like, this could also be a thing at play here. Like, realistically, behind it all, he might not actually believe he's speaking to Katy Perry, but the thought of him speaking to Katy Perry is comforting to him if he is, like, you know, someone that is quite alone. And even Max try and dive deeper into, you know, what happened during this phone call that he had with Katy, because obviously that's the biggest piece of evidence we really have at this point.
She shared some songs with me, some music before they even were released.
Like early versions of tracks.
Yeah.
Wait, this gotta be... I don't know what to... I'm early tracks? You're kidding. See, that is another big piece of evidence. I imagine we're going to see these early tracks later in the episode. But again, like 2 years ago, if she showed him a track and then she releases this, like, you know, today, he's obviously going to think, yes, this is definitely Katy. The more we learn about this, the more I'm like, wait, I'm on Spencer.
I would never buy cats online. I have my son buy it for me.
When are you getting your computer fixed?
What is a computer?
Since not everyone is a total stoner like my husband,
Guilty.
Mood takes the guesswork out of cannabis, so you know exactly how you're gonna feel. Whether
Idea. Neve and
They have
Max
to mute
then
the word,
both
but they can
sit
make
down
an
with
ad.
Spencer
That's
on his
wild.
computer that he uses to communicate with Katy, and like they show various numbers of how many exchanges they've had, and just on emails they've had over 1,600 exchanges, which is just wild. And it just shows that, you know, this is not scripted, this is not fake, like this has been going on for years. It's a real life story. I've never wanted a show to be scripted more than I have this specific episode of Catfish.
Don't even know if you check your email email tons, but I stole Marcus's laptop, so first thing I do is email you. Heart, heart, love you.
Marcus.
She's dropping people that are close to us first names, and if he's checked them out and be like, oh yeah, like this person does go on tour with that, like I'm just trying to paint the picture that he might not be a complete idiot here, okay? I'm just trying to offer a different perspective to the one that the show's trying to curate here.
She sent you links to YouTube
Unavailable.
from like random people's YouTube pages.
Part of the fun for her was keeping me kind of guessing.
Okay. Obviously, here, the unreleased songs aren't unreleased songs. They're just kind of, I don't know if they're covers or remixes or whatever. Like, they're just on random people's YouTube pages, which obviously, unless Katy Perry was just trying to be really mysterious and dropping them on all of these different pages, realistically, this is not going to be a thing. However, if you're not that clued up with technology, like, it's dead easy for someone like me or, like, people watching who spend all day at a computer or have, you know, are very familiar with a computer or a phone or what, like a smartphone, to know that clearly, you know, this is bullshit here. But if you don't spend much time on technology, you're probably like, oh, okay, well, like, I know that my grandparents would fall for this. Granda, if Katy Perry messages you, don't fall for it. Not again. Sorry, it never happened the first time. And again, Spencer, like, emotionally.
A platoon of tigers advance in formation, their engines rumbling as they cross the battered fields of Kursk. Dust and smoke hang in the air, masking the horizon. They slog through long stretches of minefields, anti-tank ditches, and trenches. Overhead, Katyusha rockets shriek through the sky as they pour into nearby formations. In a flash, a dozen T-34s break from cover, but prove no match for the lead tank's 88mm gun, a true marvel of German panzer engineering. With every inch of ground gained, Soviet resistance stiffens. And yet, the platoon keeps moving forward. Then, through the haze of war, new silhouettes appear. 10, 20, perhaps even more. The tank commander watches in shock. After the disastrous defeat at Stalingrad, the German army had to cede vast territories to the advancing Soviets. From January of 1943 onward, Soviet armies penetrated deep behind the Wehrmacht's rear lines. They reached as far as Kharkov, an important logistics hub and crucial strategic command center. However, lured in by the prospect of encircling yet another German army, the Soviets overextended their forces. A daring yet powerful attack by Erich von Manstein's Army Group South resulted in the German recapture of Kharkov just before the infamous Russian spring thaw, the Rasputitsa, set in. The result of this sweeping offensive was a larger salient around the city of Kursk, around 200 kilometers or 124 miles wide, that jutted 120 kilometers or 74 miles into the German front line. German military planners at the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht were quick to identify the area as a prime location for a classic double envelopment pincer strike that would encircle the Soviet forces within. This operation, codenamed Citadel, was intended to strengthen the front, shorten their overstretched lines, and weaken the Soviet tidal wave before it inevitably arrived. Opinions among German military leaders were deeply split on how to conduct Operation Citadel. Field Marshals Günther von Kluge and Erich von Manstein wanted to attack as fast as possible, before the Red Army entrenched itself too far. Generals like Walter Model doubted whether the allocated resources were enough for the plan.